Royal Opera House in London, the Bolshoi Theater in Moscow, Staatsoper in Vienna, the Vigadò Opera House in Budapest, and the Opéra de Paris Garnier in Paris. These outstanding amphitheaters have represented the very best in both acoustics and design for over 100 years. Following in the tradition of these great theaters, another great hall rises. The Nancy Lee and Perry R. Bass Performance Hall is breathtaking even at first glance, but a lot of work went into making this theater one of the last great halls of the 20th century. As early as 1992, a nonprofit organization called Performing Arts Fort Worth Incorporated was formed to manage the design, construction, and operation of a new multi-purpose concert theater known today as the Bass Performance Hall. In April of 1994, a fundraising campaign began to acquire contributions and pledges for the new hall. The goal was $60 million. Groundbreaking ceremonies for the new hall took place in June of 1995. A year later, on October 9th, 1996, the funds for the Bass Hall were finally received for construction. The $60 million goal was surpassed by $11 million, allowing for upgrades in construction. June 7th, 1997, Ed Bass, chairman of the Performing Arts Fort Worth Board of Directors, unveiled the nameplate on the main facade of the building. The name the Nancy Lee and Perry R. Bass Performance Hall was chiseled above the street in Texas limestone and etched with gold leaf. On October 23rd, 1997, the hall revealed a list of stars slated to perform in the first year. Among those were native Texan Carol Burnett, one of America's finest singers, Frederica von Stade, and Fort Worth native and world-renowned musician, Van Cliburn. And finally, in May of 1998, the Nancy Lee and Perry R. Bass Performance Hall opened its doors to the public and stepped into Performance Hall history. The hall itself is located on a full city block in downtown Fort Worth, bordered by 4th, 5th, Commerce, and Calhoun Streets. At first glance, visitors are awestruck by the two angels gracing the facade of the Bass Performance Hall. The 48-foot heralding angels were carved from 104 blocks of Texas Cordova cream limestone that came from quarries outside of Austin. The creator of the angels spent 3 years carving them in his studio in California. They were delivered to Fort Worth in November and assembled on site. The wings were carved here because they were too fragile to ship. Each angel weighs 250,000 pounds, which is equal to 30 killer whales. The trumpets, 13 feet long apiece, were the last to be assembled. Each trumpet is covered in 22-karat gold leaf, making them beautiful as well as weather-resistant. The grand lobby includes a refreshment area, closed-circuit television, and the donor walls. These walls include the names of over 4,000 families, individuals, businesses, and foundations who have contributed gifts of $10,000 or more. On either side of the grand lobby, there are closed-circuit monitors that allow even the late patrons to see a live broadcast of the performance. These monitors are located on every floor except the Grand Salon and the box tier level. The hall was designed so crowds circulating through the building at every level could easily find their way back to stunning overlooks on the grand foyers. The floor is made of Italian marble instead of limestone as originally planned. This was changed because the construction team noticed in older opera houses that used limestone, theatergoers had worn grooves in the floor, and since marble is more durable, it was chosen for the lobby. The walls, however, are made of rose-colored limestone from an 1,100-year-old French quarry. Marble wainscot was added later to protect the lobby walls that weren't stone. The East Dome has a marble refreshment area. The gift shop and valet parking is located just outside. The main feature of this entrance is the painting of the Texas sky at sunrise and Texas laurel leaves, created by Fort Worth natives Stuart and Scott Gentling. The floor is also made of Italian marble, and the wall of the staircase is made of French limestone. The West Dome has the box office and a marble sidebar. Opposite the East Dome, this side displays the Texas sky at sunset with Texas Mustang grapes. Unlike other performance halls that have one main stairway in the center, the Bass Performance Hall has two grand staircases on either side, which gives patrons a more relaxed and open environment. On this staircase, there are 1920s French wrought iron tourtières that were purchased in New York by Ed Bass himself. The Grand Salon is a beautiful area where patrons can come to relax before a performance or during intermission. This space has a raised ceiling and cove lighting to enhance the feeling of spaciousness. The unique features in this area are the restrooms that are set to a musical theme, with the women's being in treble clef and the men's in bass clef. The music on the wall is the New World Symphony. The audience chamber, known as the Founders Concert Theater, is a 19th century classical design modeled after Carnegie Hall. Its horseshoe shape is traditional and elegant, but it's also modern and sophisticated. The shape provides excellent sight lines, which means that every seat in the house has a good view of the stage. Like the great opera houses, the stage will be enclosed not by walls, but by the audience itself, gathering around the performers in the horseshoe setting with sinuous curves and marvelous ornamentation. The chamber has 6 levels of seating: orchestra and parterre circle, which seats 963, box tier, which seats 170, the mezzanine, which seats 364, the lower gallery has 246 seats, and the upper gallery has 313 seats, for a total of 2,056 seats. The unique aspect about the chamber is its ease at removing or adding a seat when necessary. This was a major factor when designing the hall. Each seat is made of finished cherry wood, and each row is almost 3 feet apart to allow for comfort and legroom. The difficulty in building a multi-purpose facility that can house symphonies, operas, musical theater, ballet, and amplified performances is to have them all sound acoustically beautiful in the same place. A retractable ceiling over the stage was the best solution. The 45-ton ceiling can be moved from a stored vertical position to a horizontal position above the stage in about 17 minutes. This lower ceiling cuts off the sound-absorbing space above the stage and turns the space into a single-room concert hall that is ideal for orchestral music. The ceiling is removed when there's an opera, ballet, musical, or amplified performance. When it's in this vertical position, it reveals the stage curtains and special lighting. The audience chamber acoustics are reinforced by the domed and concrete ceilings, which will properly disperse the reflections of sound. All of the surfaces inside the audience chamber are made from hard plaster and concrete, which are materials known to support classical acoustics. Acoustics are a major factor to a beautiful sounding performance hall. Everything was taken into effect when creating the Bass Performance Hall, including air conditioning, heating units, and extraneous noise from outside. Most of the mechanical equipment is housed in a tunnel beneath Calhoun Street. Where the mechanical space meets the hall, a 2-inch acoustical isolation joint made of rubber and silicone will prevent the two structures from touching. The joint will isolate the mechanical vibrations to ensure that the best sound quality reaches the audience. The stage floor is made up of 1 1/8-inch plywood and maple that is stained black. The stage in front of the curtain is 58 feet long, 40 feet high. From the curtain to the back wall is 57 feet. The total width of the stage is 115 feet, about as long as 4 school buses. The house curtain, which can be lowered from the ceiling, is made from a velour material and matches the audience chamber seats. In the rare event of a fire on stage, a separate curtain is quickly lowered to protect the audience. The orchestra pit, located in the front of the stage, is multi-level for better acoustics and can seat 60 musicians. The pit has a full architectural orchestra shell which enhances the beauty and ambiance of the concert chamber. It can also be raised or lowered to accommodate different performances. Many performance halls use hydraulic jacks to move the pit up and down, but the Bass Performance Hall uses spiral jacks. These 5 jacks work like giant slinkies to move the pit up and down and have a combined capacity of 10 tons. In a room located in the rear of the orchestra seating level, engineers control all sound from the stage. The stage speaker towers can be set up on stage, and a center cluster of speakers can be lowered from the ceiling. Both can be installed and removed for each performance. The Great Convex Dome is one of the most beautiful features in the audience chamber and was dedicated in recognition of Rosalind and E.M. Manny Rosenthal. The Great Dome is 80 feet in diameter and rises 82 feet above the orchestra level seating. The dome was chosen because it's one of the most significant forms. Ancient Romans saw a geometrically perfect dome as a vault into heaven. The dome in the Founders Concert Theater is made of 98,000 pounds of plaster. Scott and Stuart Gentling also designed the dome that depicts a wreath of angel wings surrounding a warm Texas sky at midday. The angel wings represent imagination and thought, and the Texas sky at midday follows the paintings of sunrise and sunset in the east and west dome of the lobby. Strips of 22-karat gold leaf swirl around the dome, adding a glorious glow to the cobalt blue sky of the painting. The artists have their signature on the Great Dome as 2 peregrine falcons flying in the sky. Although the Great Dome is beautiful to look at, it serves another purpose. The Great Dome conceals the air conditioning ducts and the catwalks. Even during a performance, stagehands will be able to have access to theatrical lighting and other equipment without being heard or even seen by the audience. The rehearsal facility is under construction to allow for an additional rehearsal space to let the resident companies save money that they would otherwise have to pay to practice in the performance hall. The rehearsal hall is located between Jones and Calhoun Street and will have a tunnel to connect it to the Bass Hall. It can accommodate all types of rehearsal from ballet to the symphony and is designed to mirror the acoustics of the performance hall. This will give the performers a good idea how a performance will be in the hall. The box tier consists of 21 boxes. This tier is reserved for major donors to the performance hall. These donors are able to choose the box they want based on the size and timeliness of the gifts. The Richardson Room and the Green Room are spaces reserved for major donors as well. Here, they're able to relax before and after the performances or during intermission. Traditionally, the Green Room has always been a place for actors and actresses to prepare before going on stage. There are many stories as to why it was called the Green Room. Some say that in the 19th century, the stage and the backstage were illuminated using one of the first forms of artificial light, calcium carbide. This light gave off a greenish-yellow color. Some also claim the backstage room was painted green to allow the performers to adjust their eyes to the light that was to be used on stage. The mezzanine level is unique in that it has a lobby that allows the patrons to see both the east and west domes and look upon the artwork at either end of the hall lobbies. The mezzanine also has a balcony that allows one to view the beauty of the heralding angels on the outside of the hall. The piano boxes are a singularly distinctive feature to the Bass Performance Hall. These boxes exist in no other performance space in the world. The name piano box comes from the fact that each one is in the shape of a grand piano. The lower piano boxes can seat up to 4 people, and piano boxes on the upper gallery level seat up to 8. It takes about 1,000 volunteers to keep the Bass Performance Hall running smoothly. Volunteers are used as ushers, tour guides, and ticket takers. They work hard to make the patrons' time at the Bass Performance Hall a memorable occasion. After 6 years in the making, the Bass Performance Hall has become a reality. Under the leadership of Performing Arts of Fort Worth, it has become a new standard in amphitheaters. With its commingling of state-of-the-art technology and a return to the traditional designs of old, this hall has joined the ranks of outstanding performance theaters throughout the world. The Nancy Lee and Perry R. Bass Performance Hall is the last great hall of the 20th century.